Hello again. I've noticed that some people commenting here suggest that I have an unhealthy preoccupation with foreigners and immigrants. It has been speculated that perhaps my wife ran away with a black man and that this has driven me into a frantic state about ethnicity, some species of monomania, perhaps. This is certainly one possible explanation for the amount of time I spend talking about ethnicity and nationality. Another would be that the mainstream media in this country are themselves obsessed with talking about black people, agonising over their suffering and praising their supposed contribution to the life of the nation, and that my commentary only reflects what is seen on the television and in the newspapers. Let me explain how this has worked over the last 24 hours or so. I used to be a member of English Heritage because I spend a lot of time visiting old places. For this reason, I check their tweets from time to time. When I saw yesterday that they were tweeting about Black History Month, I naturally looked at what they were saying on the subject. There were so many silly mistakes and schoolboy errors in what they were writing on their site, mixed in with downright and obvious lies, that I thought that drawing attention to this might be in the nature of a public service, which explains the first video I uploaded this morning. Since then, I've glanced at the BBC website, where I often pick up my news, and seen 3 news items which have been covered by the BBC, which appeared to me to be unusual enough to warrant the attention of anybody interested in life in Britain and Ireland, which I am. Take the explosion at a petrol station in County Donegal in Ireland, which killed 10 people. Try this experiment. Google BBC Blast Donegal to bring up the BBC take on this incident. Click on images and you will see at once the thumbnail to this video, which, as you will observe, features just 2 black people with the BBC logo. To black man and his daughter. The actual article on this site does have the other people killed as well, but the 2 black victims are the first in the photographs, with the white mother and child killed being the last of the photographs. This is how the BBC raised the profile of black people, by underlining whenever possible that black people have been the victims of something or other. Why, when we Google BBC Blast Donegal, do you think that only the 2 black victims come up in images? Is this sheer chance? Another news story which caught my eye yesterday was of a man being shot dead at a police station in Derby. This is interesting because I've noticed that police are a little too handy with guns lately for my liking. So I read the article, and it turned out that a mad foreigner broke into the compound of the police station and was waving a sword around. He was a refugee, an asylum seeker. This then is a story which I did not hunt down or seek out, but that was strange enough to catch my attention. Then there was the reported rape of a man in the Hampshire town of Andover. The rape of a man by 3 other men is an extremely odd and unusual story, and I can't remember anything of that kind in England in recent years. 3 men were arrested, all were from Yorkshire, 2 from Dewsbury and 1 from Batley. I could not help but speculate privately on their ethnicity. What is happening is that whenever I click on an unusual, noteworthy or downright peculiar news story in the British Isles, especially on the BBC website, it seems 9 times out of 10 to be connected in some way with people whose ancestry and heritage do not lie in this country. I make no comment as to why this should be so, but it is the case. I find this intriguing. Part of this is an artificial bias shown by the mainstream media, which draws our attention to the presence of black people in any news story. That explosion in County Donegal had nothing at all to do with the black guy and his daughter, as far as I know, and yet the BBC chose to publicise just those 2. Why do they do this? In short, I comment often on news stories, and it's hardly my fault that the odder and more outlandish stories seem to be connected in some way or other with foreigners and those whose families are from other countries. It's simply how the media work these days. As usual, in the description to this video, I give links to the news stories which I've mentioned here.